wouldn't be the road to WrestleMania 42 if he didn't have some crazy stuff going on, because yes, and this seems pretty much confirmed, so if I am wrong, I've been lured in, so you'll have to forgive me, I'll do an apology or something. But after all the changes with Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre winning the title, and then all of a sudden it was CM Punk versus Roman Reigns, Bron Breakker has had hernia surgery, which means obviously he had a hernia, and he'll be out for a while, and given that it's February 9th and WrestleMania is only 2 months away, well, it begs the question, what the flub are we going to do? Now, as always, we don't know what kind of hernia this was. We don't know what kind of procedure he went under. I had a friend that had a hernia last year, and it was bad. He was still able to walk around and do stuff, but he was in constant pain, which kind of ties into when this may have happened to Bron Breakker. Now, if you don't know, a hernia can happen whenever. You can be in the gym and all of a sudden bad stuff happens. You can be walking around, all of a sudden bad stuff happens. You look down. It's usually in the stomach area. Because some people said maybe that's why we did what we did at the Royal Rumble, why we changed things around. If it's a super bad hernia, I don't think he would have done anything. I mean, look, wrestlers are crazy. I'm sure he would have gutted through it, but I don't think he would have done 2 Raws since then, or is it 1 Raw since then? I would have felt like you probably would have got the surgery as fast as you probably can do, but once again, because pro wrestlers are totally insane, maybe he did persevere through this, but it's still surgery, right? And it's still opening somebody up, and it's still doing a lot of invasive stuff. Again, just do a quick Google today, and you'll be like, oh my gosh. It's like when people say, you can lose your appendix, it doesn't matter if you've got appendicitis, then you read about it, you're like, this is absolutely terrifying, and for some reason, we've sort of lowered it down the scale a little bit. It's the same for a hernia. And of course, it's not just the fact that he could be recovered and he could be walking around again in random time frame that I'm making up in my own head in 6 weeks. But then you've got, a month or so until you have to be ready to do a wrestling match. And of course, when it comes to a hernia, you don't want to rupture it, or whatever. That's probably not the right word with a hernia, but you can absolutely screw yourself if you do not give yourself enough time to recover. It is open surgery. Once again, it's invasive surgery. I'm going on too much here about the wrong stuff. First and foremost, I hope he's all right, and all the best to that guy. I hope he's surrounded by good people and it's not too bad or anything, because as well as the physical ailments, it's going to screw with your head as well, because of course he was going to be in a big match at WrestleMania. It wasn't going to be the world title match like a lot of we had presumed, although, along with this report, he was at one point written down to win the Royal Rumble, and then Drew McIntyre won the title, and that shifted Cody's plan, that shifted Punk's plans, and ultimately shifted Bron Breakker's plans. We did talk about this last week, but now that it is out there, I don't actually think that was the worst thing in the world. Because it just meant, I assume, going back to injuries and WrestleMania, the vision is so cursed that likely we would have done Seth Rollins versus Bron Breakker at WrestleMania, and I wouldn't have had a problem with that at all. It is a big match. It makes sense for the story. You could argue maybe CM Punk and Roman Reigns could be without the WWE title because they're such big stars, and you could move it into Bron Breakker versus Seth Rollins at the same time, though I bet Roman Reigns and CM Punk still would have main evented, and then we would have moaned about that as well. So it's a lose-lose situation. But it'd be really difficult for me, especially if Seth Rollins is coming back. I guess the problem with WWE, is I cut myself off twice there, is they assume that Seth Rollins is going to be okay. Now, of course, they have way more information than us. Nobody knows. But if you're working on assumptions that Bron Breakker is going to be okay and Seth Rollins is going to be okay, one, you don't know when you're going to get them back on TV, so that may just make you know what, we're going to hit pause on it now, and we will reshuffle the card. But also, you don't want to go the other way and go, they're going to be fine, and you go headstrong with it, and you're like, oh my gosh, we can't pull this off. Now, maybe you could do an angle or something like that at WrestleMania. I wouldn't mind that, but no, a lot of people have very specific ideas of what they want WrestleMania to be. But I guess this kind of ties into the bigger conversation here, and that is WWE switching this stuff around too much? Like, apparently, allegedly, speculation, again, we don't know, although the statistics are out there that you compare them to. Ticket sales for WrestleMania 42 at this stage are not as good as WrestleMania 41. Now, that could be due to a million things. I mean, it's damn hard to pay for anything at the moment. Maybe some people that have their yearly holiday to WrestleMania don't want to go to Vegas back-to-back, so they like to go somewhere else. Obviously, there's a lot of travel issues at the moment, and flights and stuff are really expensive. I don't really see why it'd be down to the card, because I don't believe in early February last year we really knew what was going to happen. I mean, we just had the John Cena heel turn, so I think most people presumed Cody versus John Cena, but it's not like we'd started to build it super duper big. But it sounds like to me that WWE, and I suppose Triple H, has seen that, and they're gone, okay, let's switch things around. I guess you can argue this twofold, because one, I don't think fans are not buying or buying it based on the card, but then you could also say, well, maybe they're watching Raw and SmackDown, and we're pretty up on this stuff. You can kind of take an intellectual guess about the direction we're going in, and maybe people just aren't that enthused. Now, I don't think that's true for CM Punk versus Roman Reigns. I think people are very excited about that. I think there's an intrigue about what we're going to do with Cody, Jacob for 2 and Drew McIntyre. We need to wait and see. And other than that, aside from us talking about the fact it should be Bron Breakker versus Seth Rollins, I mean, Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Vaquer, I think they're leaning into quite heavily, but you could argue as well, maybe Raquel Rodriguez gets involved in that too, and we do a 3-way. I don't think there's anything else. I mean, AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch, but that has not been built on television at all at the moment. I know they've done stuff in the past, but there is nothing, if you were just watching week-to-week Raws, that would make you go, oh, they're definitely going to do that at WrestleMania. So it's still very much an open book. And it could just be that the dominoes have fallen. So if all of a sudden you go, okay, well, maybe Seth Rollins is going to be involved, but we don't have Bron, well, what do we do there? I mean, do you even want Seth Rollins to come back before he gets to it, before he even gets into it with Bron Breakker? Do you tell Seth, it might take a couple more extra months, whatever it may be, to better yourself? Or do you do a complete 180? Because if Bron Breakker is gone, it's not going to be a crazy amount of time. It's going to be out for 6 months, I doubt. But if you do kind of feel like you want to shuffle the deck around, can you not put the spotlight on Bronson Reed, right? Like, he did have that win over Roman Reigns. Ever since then, WWE has not done that much with him. And could you continue the story that, oh my gosh, and again, we're guessing here, Austin Theory is the surprise man in the mask. He has been working with Seth Rollins. And you do Seth Rollins and Austin Theory versus Logan Paul and Bronson Reed. Now, no, that's not as fun as Bronson Reed versus Seth Rollins. It has less heat and it has less, whatever the word you want to use is. I guess it's less exciting. But you're still utilizing those people on the card, and you are still telling that story, but just in a different way. And it still takes Austin Theory away from the vision, if that's what WWE wants to do. And this is going to sound way more disparaging than I mean it to, but it is going to be in the middle of WrestleMania card. You still have some big stars in there. So I think you could probably do something. You could do something with it. There are rumors, of course, let's not get too much into this, that we may be doing Logan Paul versus Bad Bunny. I personally don't want that match for personal and wrestling reasons. But again, we'll talk about that once again. It does get firmed. I will just say, as it's come up here, I really enjoyed Bad Bunny's halftime performance. I thought it was great. I thought it was very, very entertaining. And you can see why he's one of, if not the biggest music stars in the world right now. But I don't think that tag match matters. You can doll it up with bells and whistles, and you can make sure that there's a big video presentation to make you go, oh man, I can't believe it. And once again, you've got 2 nights of WrestleMania, you want to get people involved. The big question is, yes, when can Bron Breakker come back and what does he do? Once again, just want to underline and double down on that his well-being is way more important. But if he can't get back for WrestleMania, he's a young man. At the very latest, he is late 20s, so he could have another 10 WrestleManias in him, if not more. And it is a shame, of course, that he kind of got thrown off course once because WWE changed track. I never have a problem with that. I think you should try things, especially if your tum-tum is telling you to. But it's still a shame for Bron Breakker if he had heard that he's winning the Royal Rumble, and then to be told, look, what we're going to do is we're going to put you with Seth, and we're going to get that feud done, and this happens. It must just be a lot for your brain. And it does make the road to WrestleMania, to use that term again, way more chaotic than I ever expected it to. Like, last year felt very locked in. Like, at no point did I think all of a sudden John Cena versus Cody Rhodes was going to change. And the 3-way, actually, I would say what felt more locked in was Roman, Punk, and Seth Rollins with the Paul Heyman factor, Paul Heyman on a pole. You could kind of tell that WWE was leaning into all of that, as far back as Survivor Series 2024 it would have been. So to get to this stage now and not know what we're doing, it's what I would do personally. Because I think this should be a showcase for young guys coming up, which is why I would have had Bron Breakker beat Seth Rollins. I understand that's the heel beating the babyface, but I think sometimes it's not your night kid. And there is at least 3 other people on this card that I think should come out the other end now, especially if Bron Breakker has gone away, and they should be smelling a rose. The first would be Jacob for 2, right? Let's say we're doing Cody versus Jacob for 2 versus Drew McIntyre. Why can't Jacob for 2 be the world champion? People, he's not ready. What do you mean he's not ready? He's doing awesome. Ever since he debuted the MFTs, he's been brilliant. Everyone's enjoying him. Even when he was the US champion, people were like, I think he should be the world champion now. Then he went away to get their dental work done or whatever it was. He's come back. He has been put in the main event. I think the only way, if there are a contingent of people that don't see Jacob for 2 as a world champion, is to make him the world champion and see how he does. And of course he's going to do brilliant because so far he has done brilliant. So I would do that box. I would do Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar. I'd have Obafemi win. No ifs, no buts, no maybes. I think he should squash Brock Lesnar, right? Brock Lesnar has squashed many people throughout his career. I get that Goldberg did that to him, but that was like 10 years ago, if you want to feel old. I think Obafemi should do it again. And that way, that's the only way I would go back to WrestlePalooza when John Cena got murked by Brock Lesnar and go, okay, good. Now it makes sense because Obafemi got the revenge. And Obafemi should be the world champion by the end of the year. Do I think? Probably not. Do I think he'll win the Royal Rumble next year and main event WrestleMania in 2027? I do, and even then I think it'll be too late. I think he should be a 42 champion right now. And the other person would have been Bron Breakker, right? So maybe we can do Bron Breakker. Let's say in a dream world he does come back. I still think those 3 things should happen. I still think we should move people into those positions. I think we should do something with Sol Ruka as well. I don't think she's wasted on NXT. I think she's outgrown NXT, which sounds horrible because I love NXT. I think it's a mad, chaotic, wonderful place, and I enjoy watching it. But I just think right now there are areas, especially if we are going hard with this tag team division, I don't see why you can't call up Zarya as well. I think they're a really, really good tag team. I don't think they would last long as a duo, but there'll be other stuff for them to do. And everybody is saying that Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are going to have a big old tag team match at WrestleMania. And I think that should be the case. We put them in that division. They're superstars. They've really made those belts feel like they mean something. So I think it'll be a multi-person match, but I think though they should be one of the teams. And I'd love both to get pushed, but if there's not enough room for that early doors, I think Sol Ruka should come out. Maybe they should come out as a tag team champions, to be honest. And then you get back into the singles stuff with Io and Rhea. And of course, they're going to be great there too. So I still think there's loads of cool stuff that we can do for WrestleMania, but I do think Bron Breakker should have been in a main event that's not a main event. That's the way I saw it even when I started going, oh my gosh, they're going to do Bron Breakker versus Seth Rollins. And that's totally fine, but just make sure you pour all the story onto that. And Paul Heyman going crazy and Seth Rollins coming back as a proper babyface. All that time they mugged him off as a babyface 2019 and totally ruined his push. I think it could work. And I think Seth Rollins is such a talented worker and he's got so much tenure. Of course he could have lost because Paul Heyman does something or Logan Paul does something or maybe not Austin Theory. You could even do the Austin Theory reveal there and that's why Bron Breakker loses. But I still think Bron Breakker should win. I think Bron Breakker should be put into a category now, given that he's not going to get his world title win for a while, although I do think he'll be a champion in 2026, where he just beats people and he justifies himself as a top guy, because I think he's almost there. But I would imagine for the wider audience, he just needs a little bit of a kick up. And we could do that, right? We can absolutely do that. And we can use WrestleMania, a big old platform, big old showcase to do it. I would still imagine that WWE sells out regardless. I think sometimes we did it with the AEW Australian show that's happening in a few days' time. I remember just before the new year, everyone's like, oh, it's doing terribly. It's going to suck. And now apparently tickets are slowly moving. And they could even do up to 10,000. We wait and see because, again, these numbers are always getting thrown around. But it'll be the same with WrestleMania. There'll be at least probably 50,000 people there each night, which is a humongous amount of people. I don't know what that stadium holds, 62, maybe it is 55 plus. But I think any show over 50,000, it was like with the AEW All In the second time. Well, they didn't do as much as first time, and they did 50,000, whatever it was, in Wembley. It's such a crazy number, given what wrestling used to be. But mostly I just hope Bron Breakker's okay. What a crazy 2026 he has had, because everyone thought, not everybody, but there was an idea that maybe he could win the world title from Punk, and then he thought he was going to win the Royal Rumble, which was on the docket, let's not pretend. And now we kind of find ourselves back at square one, but ultimately that's the danger of the wrestling business, although it sounds like this wasn't even wrestling related. And it is a serious thing. Of course, there are more serious things, there are less serious things, but you do not want a hernia and you do not want hernia surgery, especially when your job is to be a high impact running machine, essentially. So all the best to him. Not that he needs that from me, but I hope he is okay. I think WWE's in a privileged position because they do have a bunch of stars. Like Bron Breakker could miss this WrestleMania, and I still think there'll be enough people on it to justify any money you want to throw at it. But of course, it would be better with Bron Breakker on it too, so you need to find this happy balance. But it's the timeline that is the issue. Is Seth Rollins going to be back? Is Bron Breakker going to be back? We just don't know, is the truth of the matter. So we do sit down, we do wait and see. But ultimately, he should be figured in to be a major part of WWE's plans anyway. So even if you do have to hold fire, it's not really the same. We've seen the likes of Becky Lynch break her nose when she was about to get a big push, and that served her even better as she did become the man. I don't think Bron Breakker needs any kind of shift or any kind of 180 like that, but I think WWE are pretty good at looking at something creative and going, what can we do here to really get to where we need to be? Like, what pieces do we need to move? Because maybe you could do that tag team match. That's where Bron Breakker comes back, or at least you have that as an idea if he is good to go. And if not, maybe you have Austin Theory and Seth Rollins win, and then it's Bron Breakker that does come back and say, listen, Logan Paul and Bronson Reed, you guys suck, man. Like, you're absolutely useless. Although in that match, I think Bronson Reed cannot take the pin. This is a different video for a different day, but I am kind of baffled about the lack of follow-up from beating Roman Reigns in a street fight. Like, I know there was shenanigans there, but I think any win over Roman Reigns, it's bizarre too, isn't it, from a kayfabe point of view. Roman Reigns is now in the main event, which he earned for winning the Royal Rumble, and Bronson Reed is like an afterthought. He just stands in the background of the vision. That's nothing on him. He has to do what he's told, but I think there is something there, and I would hate for it to be the only reason he gets this because Bron Breakker goes away. I think he should kind of have that even when Bron Breakker comes back. My point being this, that Logan Paul should take the pin here, and he probably won't, but it is something that you could do. And in terms of the vision, well, I think this. They haven't really lived up to the expectations I had for them, but I also don't think they're bad. Does that make any sense? Probably not. I think the turn with Bron Breakker and Seth Rollins was good because it came out of nowhere. That surprised you. I then think the follow-up with Bron Breakker was a little bit lackluster, and we didn't get behind him as much as we did, probably because WWE knows that he's going to win Money in the Bank or whatever and become the world champion. At this stage, though, with Seth Rollins now out and maybe Bron Breakker taking somewhat of a gap, I mean, Logan Paul and Bronson Reed and Austin Theory, maybe that changes Austin Theory's plans. Maybe he doesn't leave, but that's my fantasy booking. If he does, do I think now that you could probably maybe get to WrestleMania, which give them a whole year and draw a line under it? Yes, I do. And there's nothing wrong with that. We have to try these things. And at first, it was very cool. Again, that night after WrestleMania when Bron Breakker joined them and Seth Rollins was the new Paul Heyman guy. It was exciting. And putting Bronson Reed in there was fun, given that him and Seth Rollins had fallen out too. Logan Paul felt very last minute. And again, we have to hold fire on Austin Theory. Sometimes people go, it's the worst idea ever. We never should have done it. I totally disagree. Not to bring in your own personal life here, but it's a bit like when you go through a relationship that doesn't work out. And you're like, oh my gosh, I wasted 3 years of my life on that person. Well, you didn't, because you learned and you grew and you figured out what you want to take into the next relationship. This becomes some sort of therapy session. And I'm not saying that WWE is going to do that, but I do think there should be a dominant heel group on Raw, not straight away, but maybe you can learn about what not to do and why this didn't work. I mean, a lot of it was out of their hands. Seth Rollins getting injured was awful. I never want Seth Rollins or anybody to get injured, but at the same time, it wasn't really on fire then. And it did kind of feel like it was treading water throughout the summer. So I think I would draw a line under it, or you can keep them together and just sort of have them be not lackluster, but I don't think they're ever going to be the vision, ironically, of what WWE had for them. Or at least that's what it feels like to me. But I could be totally wrong with that. I would like your opinion in the comments below. I've just never seen anyone be in my position or just people randomly talk about online. They're like, oh man, I love the Vision. The Vision are awesome. They're full of great people who are excellent pro wrestlers. But I've never had anyone talk about the entity of the Vision as this sort of wondrous thing that they want to get behind in a super duper way. But I'll be intrigued to know what you think. But nothing is more important than the health of Bron Breakker. I send him all the best. I hope he is doing okay. And I hope I've been lied to. I hope tomorrow I have to come on here, do my Raw chat with egg on my face, going, oh my gosh, what a trick. I hope the WWE wouldn't do that. It's why I was glad that Seth Rollins wasn't at the Rumble. I knew about the injury pretty quick because it did spread online very, very fast. But I still appreciate the fact that WWE tried, but don't try it again. I don't want to get to the point where people are getting hurt and I don't know whether I should be worried about them or not. Not like in a dad way. Wrestling is not as important as human lives. So if Seth Rollins tears his shoulder, I'd just like to be able to go, Seth Rollins, I hope you're going to be okay. So I hope we're not pretending that someone had hernia surgery. I think that would be taking wrestling and going in a way that I personally don't like. You may think that's the greatest thing ever. Maybe that's what modern kayfabe is. Maybe we do have to step into the real world and try and blur the lines. When I watch the shows, I'm so happy to turn my brain off in that sense and go, yeah, I totally believe this. I always go back to the Irish whip. The Irish whip doesn't make sense. Try an Irish whip someone today. Ask their permission first. But say, just move in real time. They won't go with you. They'll look at you like an absolute idiot. Why would I run into the ropes and then repel myself back at you? I don't want to do it. Now listen, of course, all the best to Bron Breakker, but what do you think WWE should do at WrestleMania now? Do they stay the course? Do they change it? Is my Vision tag idea any good? Of course it's not, but you can criticize that too. What do you want to see as a fan? Try to keep out of this whole, I don't like this person, so I never want to see them again. Okay, great, but they are going to be used. So in terms of the piece of the puzzle that we do have and the superstars we have, who should be moved where? I think our main events are pretty much set, but should Jake of 2 leave with a championship? WrestleMania, disarray is way too strong. That's a YouTube word, but we'll use it because it's fun. WrestleMania, that at this stage is in far more disarray than I thought it would be coming out of the Royal Rumble. I thought it was going to be very simple, but this is why wrestling is crazy, because you never know. And it is just a traveling circus. So if someone's get injured, you don't have stand-ins, right? You can't have people waiting to go because it wouldn't make any sense. We tried that with Diesel and Razor Ramon in the mid-90s and it was awful. But what do you want to do? What do you want to see? Drop me a comment. After that too, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the video on the screen, which is me talking about SmackDown, which is a very interesting show in many ways. Otherwise, you can go to grillandmine.com/Simon. They just restocked their protein. Best protein ever, don't care what anyone says. It tastes damn good too. So I'm throwing it out there. Use Simon to get money off. Patreon.com/Simon316 if you want to support me there. Otherwise, it's Simon316 on social media. And you can go to Cameo, you can go to TikTok, you can go to Pro Wrestling Tees and search my name. I appreciate you, my friends. Thank you to everyone that came out and supported me at ICW. Yesterday, as I'm recording this, I went to Scotland to debut for Insane Championship Wrestling, which blew my brain because they're a big wrestling company over here. I wanted to work for them for a while. So it just goes to show, my friend, if you have a dream, you have to work hard and you have to put the time in. But you always have to be tenacious, right? So sit on that bench and maybe one day you will get called into the game. I had a very good time. Thank you for being kind. See you soon.